some of his policies just aren't very pro-business.
Well, it's different. It's getting people talking, it's getting a conversation going, and it's getting people out and interested in voting. And it's, while I don't love his politics, obviously, but he's revitalized sort of conversations both in America and in Canada. People are talking about our own local elections, and it sort of got the conversation going again. So in the long run, I think it'll actually be a blessing in disguise.
It's refreshing, yeah. I really like Mom Donnie.
Oh, I think he's a loser, yeah. But
I like his brand of politics.
You know what else he could do? I'm just thinking on that. Maybe if he would like bomb the city, then everyone would talk about it for a really long time.
Well, I think it's important because it's been very stagnant. The number of voters that come out is quite low, and it's not very interesting because there are a lot of old white men. And so it is shaking it up a bit. And I do think that's a positive for any society to have debate.
Yeah. So, I mean,
well, no, you're positive. That's okay.
When was the last old white man that was mayor of New York City? Was it Ed Koch?
Yeah, he was gay. I don't know if he counts as an old.
He wasn't openly gay though.
No.
That was like rumored about him.
No, I mean, I lived right there, but he was.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm sorry, Scott, but I'm not going to be insulted and patronized by this for much longer. I can leave if you want. Actually, these are your friends. I'll take off, but I'm not going to do that. So.
What is it?
It's just a patronizing, condescending tone. Not really a fan of it. But take care, and yeah.
अफवाहें उड़ाई जाती, वो इसलिए उड़ानी पड़ती हैं, उनके पीछे मनोविज्ञान है और उनको मानने वाले लोग मिल जाते हैं। मानने के पीछे भी अर्थ है। कौन उन झूठी अफवाहों को मान लेता है? वही मान लेता है जो बचना चाहता है। उन झूठी अफवाहों को मान के वो अपने को भरोसा दिला लेता है, जाने की कोई जरूरत नहीं। ऐसे आदमी के पास क्या जाना? क्या हम पागल हैं जो ऐसे आदमी के पास जाने? जो आ जाता है यहां, वो गलत कारणों से आता। अक्सर तो गलत कारणों से ही तुम आओगे। तुम्हारे पास ठीक कारण कैसे हो सकते हैं? रमन महर्षि से एक जर्मन प्रोफेसर ने कहा कि मैं आपके पास कुछ सीखने आया हूं, अध्यात्म सीखने आया हूं। रमन महर्षि ने कहा फिर तुम कहीं और जाओ। अगर सीखना है तो कहीं और जाओ, अगर भूलना हो तो यहां रुको। जितना तुम्हें अध्यात्म आता है वो भी यहां भुलाना हो तो रुक जाओ। भुलाने का काम मैं करता हूं। मेरा काम भी यही है कि तुम्हारी स्लेट पट्टी को साफ कर दूं। मैं ही जो उत्तर दे रहा हूं तुम्हें, ये तुम्हारे ज्ञान को बढ़ाने के लिए नहीं है। ये एक कांटे से दूसरा कांटा निकाल लेने वाली बात है। एक कांटा तुम्हें लगा है, वो दूसरे कांटे से निकाल रहा हूं, फिर दोनों कांटे फेंक देने। मगर प्रथमता प्रेम चेतन ये झंझट होती जब उल्टा हो जाता है। तुम आए कुछ सोच के, हो गया कुछ। तुम आए थे सोच के, कि आवागमन से छुटकारा पाना है, और यहां आके तुम्हें पता चला कि ये बात ही मूढ़तापूर्ण है। छुटकारा किसी चीज से नहीं पाना है। छुटकारा पाने का ख्याल ही मौलिक रूप से जीवन विरोधी है। तुम आए थे ज्ञान इकट्ठा करने कि थोड़े ज्ञानी होके लौटोगे, थोड़े पंडित होके लौटोगे। यहां आके पता चला कि पंडित मूढ़ता को छिपाने का उपाय है। पंडित से तो बेहतर है अज्ञानी। तो स्वभावतः एकदम घबराहट होती कि तो सब उलट पुलट हुआ जा रहा है। चंदूलाल को उदास देखकर नसरुद्दीन बोला कि क्या बात है भाई, बड़े उदास लग रहे हो। चंदूलाल बोले क्या बताऊं यार, नहीं पूछो तो अच्छा है। आजकल तुम्हारी भाभी के मोटापे की वजह से बहुत परेशान हो गया हूं। बात तो यहां तक बढ़ गई है कि सड़क पर उसके साथ निकलता हूं तो लोग कहने लगते हैं कि भाई चंदूलाल, माताजी को कहां ले जा रहे हो। यह सब सुनकर तो मैं सर्द से गड़ जाता हूं। दुनिया भर के यम नियम व्रत उपवास जो भी बन सका किया, मगर उसका मोटापा है कि कम होने का नाम ही नहीं लेता। और जब से उसे झाड़ू वाले बाबा से झड़वाया है, तब से तो और भी मोटी होनी शुरू हो गई। अब तो तुम्हारा ही सहारा है। यदि तुम्हें इस संबंध में कुछ पता हो तो बताओ। नसरुद्दीन कुछ क्षण तो आंख बंद।
The national establishment. He's built a grassroots campaign, but even that grassroots campaign infrastructure, his campaign manager, his staff, his volunteers, none of them are prepared to stick it out with him. He would really be all by himself, which would be a very difficult proposition running a campaign of this size.
Well, it's just fascinating, and we continue to watch it and track it. If there are any developments, run back out and bring them.
Last check on my phone, things are status quo, but I'll let you know.
Ryan, thank you so much. Great to see you, as always. Coming up next, I will speak to the first Maine Democrat to officially say he wants to take Graham Plattner's place on the ballot.
So, any comments, y'all?
Yeah.
I have a comment about the mayor of New York who illegally put the mullah's flag on the subways of New York. It is there is no diplomatic relation between Iran and United States, and he is not a diplomat. Most of these regions makes it very weird for me. Why it is after 7 years like this, not even after JCPOA, there been no move like this. Is he a clone or is he a mayor? Is his business my national symbols to put on the metros of New York?
Okay, Peter. We'll talk about that later on, because right now they're talking about Graham Plattner. But go ahead, Mickey.
Morris Katz has a contract with Plattner. Katz personally gets to keep 15% of each of the donations to Plattner. So, if Plattner stays in the race and he raises a few million extra, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars in Morris Katz's pocket. And sometimes this room doesn't discuss the role of money in motivating candidates as much as perhaps we could.
Evidence for that, sir. Where's your evidence?
I'll post 3 links in the room chat.
You gonna ask Mickey for evidence?
You'll remember the Meet the Press is recorded early. Later on last night, he did drop out. He gave a video and said that he was going to back out, but wanted to make sure that they selected the right candidate and that they do it democratically. So, any objections to that? I think that's right. I'm pretty sure I saw him with my own 2 eyes. On video, huh?
He did withdraw last night.
Yeah. So, I don't know what you're about to put in that chat, Snoopy. What are you going to put in there? What is he putting in there?
You might ask for evidence.
Oh, what kind of evidence were you looking for, Devon?
And that somebody's making money from the donations to Plattner's campaign.
Yeah, he asked for proof that a man named Morris Katz gets 15%, so I'm posting that next time.
Oh, okay.
Oh, look at Anthony.
Well, what if he did it?
PTR.
He looks nice. Anthony look nice.
Anthony, what's up with the change up?
He looks good. He lost weight.
Oh, you know, nice PTR, Anthony.
He lost some weight. He got a nice little shirt on.
I know.
He's
He's
showing
ready
off
for
his
the summer.
Tesla.
Are you ready for the summer?
Mm-hmm. sled. He said, y'all want to make me Superman? I'm about to flash on you.
First lady, you see you ain't no good. You see
When you started it, I saw it. I just didn't say nothing out loud. But it's your mouth, your big mouth. God is here.
No, because I was wondering which Anthony was that. I was like, do I know that? Why am I friends with this Anthony? And then I clicked on it. I realized, oh, that's Anthony. Oh, that's Anthony.
So, Mickey.
I just Googled it. So they're Morris Katz that's their advising team. That's their team of advisors. Are they not supposed to get paid for that?
Exactly.
I'm confused.
I was gonna say the same thing, Patty. I was like, I'm not waiting for this dude.
No, I was like, asking Tio, what the hell is he talking about? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like,
this is consulting firm.
This is weird.
They run his campaign and they should be paid for their services. This guy's acting like something illegal is happening, which they would have blew the whistle on ages ago. Weird.
You're saying 15%? Who cares? They got to go door to door. They got to do the data analysis. They have to they have change agents that tell him where he's weak and where they need to what they need to focus on when it comes to policy or his talking points. Like, I'm confused why they shouldn't be paid for this. Is this a free service that they're offering now that I'm not aware of, or they should be offering? Mickey?
No.
Okay, so then what was the point of bringing up that there's a firm that's making money off of their campaign donations? They get paid, right? Isn't that what campaign donations are for?
Sure. But Katz has an incentive to keep these spoiler candidates in.
Anybody that's working for the campaign has an incentive to keep them in.
True.
Right? Even the person that's answering the phone or making the
Very
phone
true.
call, there's an incentive to keep them in. Even if they're getting paid minimum wage, they way less than what they're probably, or even volunteers. There's an incentive to keep your guy in, right?
Yeah, and we frequently have Marshall in this room, and Marshall gets a fee from Republican candidates. That's just how the system works, absolutely.
That's fine, but that's what you get paid to do.
So I know you're providing a service. Come on, that's Snoopy. Hey, did you guys hear about why Trump is extending the war? Because every missile that's fired uses a whole bunch of tungsten. And tungsten is one of the rare earth minerals that we have a hard time finding. So Trump's son, they were in a company called Dormitory, and with that company, Trump had negotiated with Lutnick
Yeah, I heard about that. Go ahead.
to buy into a company in Kazakhstan, and with that company, they're going to take a 20% stake ownership. But the thing about it is that the Commerce Department is giving them grants, like $250 million in grants for production of, and also $1.3 billion like interest or whatnot to help them fund the purchase. So the grift is extended to become Trump size.
That's why they continue to go on.
Yeah, because you come on, I'm saying,
hold on. I don't believe that's the reason. Hold on, let me say something, brother. It's more than that. It's because they can't get Iran to bow to the negotiations of what they want Iran to get rid of. The ambitions that they have. Straight up, it's more than that. You just get tight.
yeah, so listen, I didn't say that was the panacea, I just said listen, there is an incentive for Trump to continue the war because it depletes our tanks to supply, so therefore there is a ready market. He jumps on it.
These other issues too, because he's president. Ultimately, he jumps on this.
You guys are okay. You guys are
Honestly, I'm with him now on this because I heard about the tungsten thing. His family is linked to numerous defense contracts that are actually tied to this war. So far, they said they paid over $3 billion in these contracts. These charges.
sons of Starlink, and also the company that they're going to give $1.3 billion interest loans to, and also grants up to $230 million in grants. Obviously, if we have tungsten, if we don't need missiles to produce missiles and all those advanced weapons, we don't need tungsten, but the current supply is being depleted, and obviously we're going to need a supply of tungsten. And so tungsten's hard to find. It creates a ready market, a ready customer for that segment.
You can't, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I think people remember Dick Cheney and try to compare it to Trump, right? So like if you work in acquisitions, y'all would understand how these contracts are done when it comes to our government contracts. Sometimes when we need something immediately, there's certain companies, and KBR happens to be one of them. There's certain companies that can, that already are set in place where we don't have. Right, and KBR, we have that, we have the infrastructure, we already have the clearances that's needed, we already have the staff, they're ready to go when it comes to like, if we were set up in the middle of shit fuck, KBR already has everything. So sometimes when we're doing these like, these operations, the log cafe, for us, those agreements was ready and he's ready, they're gonna get the contract. We have a bunch of things subject to certain country companies, and those companies, KBR is one of them. So he just happened to be affiliated prior to becoming a vice president, and guess what? The company he was affiliated with is a company that we fucking like call right away.
Argument is that if profit, you always look at a profit. Or it's always a profit. You cannot deny that. But what I'm saying, when you create the narrative, I'm not saying you're doing that ML. I'm just saying you put that out there. You create the narrative, and the reason why, diminish the reason why the war is continuing because of this. That's not really the narrative. Okay. There's a war with the finish. There's a lot of other things going on. Continue that war now. If you want to look at more finish, you want to look at that, then you would have to say America really doesn't want to use a lot of their weapons. You know why? Because they're selling it to other companies like Japan. The Tomahawk missile, they sold 400 Tomahawk missiles to Japan. They cannot give that to Japan right now. They have to put Japan on hold because they're using it in the war. So sometimes they don't want to use their weapons. You see what I'm saying? I sell it to other countries. Yes, if you look it up, they sold 400 Tomahawk missiles to Japan.
Yes, but that is not coming with position.
Yeah, but hold on, let me just finish, brother.
You don't know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about, not just
foreign military sales.
hold on, let me finish, man. Finish, right? So, the 400 Tomahawk missiles Japan was supposed to get, now it's on hold because of the war. But they're losing at that aspect, selling the weapons to other countries. A lot of times they don't want to just use the weapons.
What?
All right?
Okay. You know what? So, okay. Talking to somebody who I think was an FMS director of foreign military sales, where I can draft the letters of offer, and I can draft the letter of acceptance, and I can get the money transferred to be fund just weapon systems from other countries. I did that. That was my job. Let me tell you, when the American military buys weapon systems, they buy it from a manufacturer. When Japan buys weapon systems, they don't buy it. They buy it from a manufacturer, which is goes through the FMS to actually transfer weapon systems to make sure it's approved to be transferred. That means if Northrop Grumman or Lockheed Martin tells Japan, hey, we're in a war, so obviously the 500 missiles we're going to send you, we can't send it to you now because the American takes precedence. That's how it works. Our allies don't get weapons before we replenish our stockpile. If the stockpile was 1,000 and we find 1,000 missiles, that takes precedence. Look, the production line gives precedence a priority to America as our allies. That's exactly what happened. So don't say we don't find so we can sell weapons to Japan. That's kind of idiotic. You don't understand the process.
Idiotic. It's not idiotic. No, I used to work in that department. I don't care. So what the fuck I'm gonna look it up for? You the one in LOA. I don't listen. What I'm telling you is that you can see, they said that, this is what the Japanese said, right? They said that America, they bought 400 tomahawks from America. They thought they was gonna get. And America said we cannot do that right now because we're in war. That's what was said.
Yeah, but a lot of these already had
Obviously, they're gonna say it. Listen, man, you wanna argue to death? What was said? That's what was said.
It wasn't an immediate deal. It wasn't an immediate deal. It was a timeline that was supposed to be fulfilled over time. Over time.
That's what I'm saying, absolutely.
But that's not what you said.
I hate when y'all do that. You hear
That
hear
is
it
what
come
I
from another person, and all of a sudden you agree with the other person that is supporting the initial person you were opposing, and all of a sudden you agree. Like,
Because some people can put it in a different way and they can receive it. And the way she just put it was a little different than how ML was trying to force it down his throat. So, you know, it is what it is.
Don't have to force it down, and ML trying to force it down his throat. Please say pause.
don't let it. No, we don't have to pause. You know, because
Y'all gotta listen to each other. That's it. Like Elder, you gotta listen when he was speaking, and then like maybe you just didn't like his tone, but I mean, if it makes sense, it makes sense.
this is why I really need to partner with somebody's politician. And one thing I would encourage them to include in education from the same way you have 4 mandatory years of English, 4 mandatory years of math, sciences, like at the secondary level, there needs to be a semester of debate. Because the way y'all personalize conversations is insane. Like, you don't lose anything. There's nobody who's going to tap into your Wells Fargo account and take a $25 deposit because you didn't win the quote unquote argument that day. The winner is when you gain wisdom. So therefore, you never lose. Even if your point is not as strong as the person you're opposing, if the goal was to learn something that day, you still didn't lose. Yeah. And so all I'm saying is, because you guys don't know how to have ethos, logos, and pathos reasonings, and you don't think, right, because it's a good practice to think about, hey, if I'm in a debate, what is my opponent going to potentially say that I should be prepared for? It's like, it's a science to it. I hope they make it mandatory for middle school and high school students to take a debate class, because what the fuck?
That's good advice, and you should get wisdom. But to be honest, the ego. A lot of times, people, it's not about right or wrong. It's about winning the argument. And that's what happens with a lot of people. Even if they're wrong, there's some people that's so good, they know how to defend their point. So they can be wrong, but and it sounds like it's the right thing.
Like
so the thing with this, especially this clubhouse, is people want to win the argument. They don't want to hear the truth. They want to win the argument. And that's what it is. It's an ego thing.
Right, and that just happened because he was right. He was right. ML was right. And you know, it's crazy when it comes to these countries, and ML could tell you the same, when they know that they're going to make these purchases. When our APS stock is down, we're going to fill our stock first. They know this. It's not like they go in there blindly saying, where the fuck is my, where's my cookies and ice cream? I don't care if y'all ran out. They know this.
So Patty, and again, the timeline. So there's also a timeline period. It's not a specific order date. It's a timeline period. It's because they know that in the priority order, they might have priorities, orders ahead of them. So for instance, in this particular deal that I looked up with Japan said that the acquisition schedule is still on track because the acquisition schedule was from 2025 to 2027. That's what it was from. 2025 to 2027. 2027 hasn't even started yet. It starts, in 1 October. So therefore, we still can meet their acquisition their acquisition time schedule. Obviously, the way the priority order in production always goes towards the United States military. America will not put itself in harm's way to supply our allies. We're always first. And since we have to be able to fight additional wars, and we we've actually fired 1,000 missiles, we will always replenish our stocks first before we decide to sell weapons. So, and that's what I'm telling them. I was like, no, they're not going to sell to them, not because of the fact that we deplenish our stocks, and therefore the priority order goes that Japan cannot buy. And Japan cannot buy because Northrop Grumman cannot meet the demand of, say, 1,000 missiles in that period for two entities. Their production line is not that big. It's pretty slow production line unless they ramp up with an additional production line, and that's not going to happen because missiles is not something that the military utilize on a regular basis.
And not only that, just to get the clearances, so you have to have the right people. Like it's not like Iran where you just have a bunch of engineers working in a freaking production manufacturing company that just produce. It doesn't work like that in the U.S.
Yeah, I was just gonna say to Elder, if you just kind of look, I don't know anything about this, but I just looked up what you said, and it literally says exactly what ML is saying. Like, if you just look it up, it says the delays, why it's delayed, when they ordered it, like everything. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, we have priorities, and even if it went past that timeline, let's say we're still at war in 2027, right? And we can't meet that timeline. They have an understanding. Like, it's not like they're not explained what they understand our production priorities. We're gonna replenish our own stockpiles before we freaking put anything into someone else.
So Patty, when you signed an LOA, the specifics of the LOA agreement, which is normally it's somewhat of a bilateral agreement, but it's actually a purchase agreement between you and the defense manufacturer. But it has to go through the military. It literally tells you that there will be delay, and it will list all the reasons, all the clauses within the particular contract why you should anticipate delays. That's why there's a time period in it. So Japan has a time period of 3 years, 3 fiscal years to actually cancel a contract. So if America that cannot fulfill the acquisition timeline of 3 years, Japan could say, hey, I could kill the contract post in end of 2027 and go towards another company or country. That's all it means. So it's not like we just saying, hey, we're gonna get the missiles to you, but it's gonna be at the end of the acquisition period timeline, which would be probably in 2027 when we've already replenish our stocks.
Trying to look up the timeline for Japan, but I know we've done it with Taiwan. Taiwan was supposed to get theirs by 2026, and they ain't got shit. So I don't know. But any other comments, y'all, before we go forward with the rest of
Well, I mean, I think we should just keep the big picture in mind, which is who's going to defend Western civilization, and the answer is it's us. I think that's what we should keep foremost in our minds.
Any other comments, y'all?
I'm not trying to just argue to argue, really. I got a million other things I could be doing. I'm not really arguing just to argue. But what I'm saying is, ML's original point, I don't want to misquote him, was that they're using weapons and they're benefiting and making money off of using these weapons. So they want the wars to continue. Is that's the narrative that I thought he was shooting? Was that your original point, or am I misquoting you?
Yes, my point is that there are plenty of reasons to continue the war. Obviously, Trump has an incentive to continue the war because that solidifies a guaranteed market for the goods coming out of his son's company, which is called Dmitry, which just signed a contract with Kazakhstan to actually do rare earth mining of tungsten and a bunch of other products, which they've gotten because they've gotten a sweetheart deal from the Commerce Department of 1.3 billion, and also another grant from them were like 230 or 250 million. That's what I'm saying. So I'm not saying that just come pulling out ML's ass. I'm saying that because that's the story in the New York Times. Saying that, yes, they could see the grift and they could see the connection why there was incentive for Trump to continue the war.
Right, they just invested in not invested. They're sitting on the board of powers, aren't they? The drone company in Florida. So like, there's just a lot of, it's just a lot of shit like that they're doing right now that has to do with a lot of these DoD contracts. That like really weird. Like,
But Elder made a good point.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Yeah, let me just. But now my point is, if that's the case, now let's look at the other side of what the war is actually costing, as far as money and what's actually costing them. So, do they really want to continue the war, or are they losing because now the gas prices are rising up? They're actually using they weapons that Iran is using $10,000, paying $10,000, shooting down $1 million weapons that is costing them. So they're actually losing more by having the war continue than just keep it going. So you got to look at that aspect. You're going to almost have an economic collapse through this war eventually. If they don't open up the Strait of Hormuz, you're going to have an economic collapse that's about to come. So why would they just want to continue with the war when it's like they're losing more by having the war?
he's not losing.
He's already said that he didn't care about that. That it
I
was
know.
like I don't, Elder, baby, yo.
He's not losing money. Is he losing money in Plantier?
He's actually making money.
Yep.
So
Still
I
making
don't,
money, especially with the stock market.
Yep.
And a second point, we were under a ceasefire with the MOU, with the plan for 60 days to negotiate the actual deal, and that was scrapped.
Because they attacked ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Because the IRGC broke the ceasefire. I mean, you got to keep track here.
If you based on Trump individually, it might be him and his family making, but as the war in itself is going to bring a major economic.
Pause right there. Pause right there. Pause right there. Repeat your last sentence.
As of Trump and his family, he may be making some money out of that for
And
sure.
that was in those points. Thank you.
But what I'm saying, okay, I got it.
And this is what this
But
now you holding the class up.
Economically.
You holding the class up now.
Hold on, let me just finish my point.
But that's the problem.
Let me finish my point.
No, you're not synthesizing the information that's being in front of you, and you're still like having this ego moment. You're not receiving.
Let me finish and I'm done.
Receive that he's already done the press conference. No, we're just gonna waste everybody's time together.
Do you interrupt everybody else?
Yeah, no, just people who waste my fucking time. Elder, come on.
What you mean wasting your goddamn time?
You are acting slow.
What are you talking about?
You are being willfully obtuse, and we're repeating.
I'm bringing out a point to you.
We have to repeat ourselves now.
I'm not repeating
it is
nothing.
Annoying.
You just want to be biased.
You're missing his point, Penny.
Right, you want to be biased.
You're missing his point.
El Normo, you don't have enough teeth to talk to me. I don't know why you keep.
I got more teeth than you, sweetie.
I doubt it.
I do.
I can tell that bottom row still missing. I don't know why you keep playing.
Elder made the simple point that you
No,
make more money.
you have elder teeth. Yeah.
Calm down.
Calm that bottom row down. Calm that gingivitis down. Shut up.
All right, so this is not helping. Let's just move forward, please. Five seconds. 5 seconds, Elder. Get it out.
No, I ain't getting nothing out. This is how the mind
Great. Let's move on then. Thank you.
First lady, man, you need to step up.
Let's move on.
Because she's biased.
No, I'm ready to move on.
So Elder is saying you make more.
El Normo.
Go, bitch.
Okay, so even with the attacks that happened recently, it's also been coming out of Iran that we've still been attacking some of their military sites. So like, I don't know what to say about that. Yeah, so if there was a ceasefire, why are we still...
Because they attacked the ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Come on.
No. So this is what I'm saying. Okay, so those attacks, July 6th and 7th, right? So supposedly, from what's coming out of Iranian television, is that they were still being attacked. They've been hitting a lot of their military installations. So.
We attacked them because they thought they broke the MOU by firing on ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Very
So
clear.
I'm talking about the ships in the Strait of Hormuz was supposed to be in retaliation for attacks that are being conducted on their military bases.
Haven't seen any of that. I'm sorry. That happened after the attacks on the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah. And by the way, if you trust Iranian media, I have a bridge in Brooklyn I can tell you as well. Elder's point was that you make more money selling the weapons than you do using them, and he's right about that. That's simple logic.
Why would you trust American media? You know, they're biased as well.
Well, listen, I work in American media, so you can't trust any one of them entirely, but if you cross-reference them, triple-check them, eventually you can get to something close to the truth. So I would trust it outright, but Iranian is just full-on lie.
All right, before we go down this rabbit hole, let me just check in on something. Patty, were you finished playing Eclipse? Or
No.
are you busy? Huh?
No, I'm not.
Did you want us to go back to that now, or you want to let them finish arguing?
Like, if we were attacking their bases...
El Normo, 1 minute.
Okay.
I'm trying to understand what's going on.
We would
Okay.
Zip it. What'd you say, Patty?
Yeah, we still have 20 minutes left with the rest.
Okay. We're going back to the clip?
Yeah, we can.
Despite previously campaigning with him and for him, former Maine State Senator Troy Jackson is next. You're watching Meet the Press now.
All right,
Well, candidate's positioning himself as a potential replacement for Graham Plattner on the ballot in Maine. Former state senator and gubernatorial candidate Troy Jackson, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me today. I appreciate it also.
Absolutely. Well, let's get right into it. You've said you believe that Graham Plattner will drop out and that it would be self-serving if he doesn't. Have you spoken directly with Graham Plattner or his campaign? Do you expect him to drop out today?
I haven't spoken with Graham for probably 10 days or so, but I do expect him to drop out. I don't know if he's going to do it today or not. I have no knowledge, but I mean, it's clear that he has to drop out, and the sooner the better, so that we can pick up the pieces and go forward with the movement that has gotten so strong here in Maine. Things like Medicare for all, workers' rights, prescription drugs. I mean, trying to do something about this war, and that's why it's important for him. And I do think he's going to step down.
Well, you have filed paperwork to explore replacing Plattner on the ballot after your bid for governor was unsuccessful earlier this year. A group aligned with Senator Sanders has endorsed you as the replacement. Today, Dan Kleben, hopefully I'm pronouncing his name right, announced that he's throwing his hat into the ring. Why do you think you're the better pick?
Well, I mean, it's about the issues that are really happening here in Maine now for something I've been wanting my entire life since I've been up on the border back in the '98, fighting for workers' rights. Then right now we got people across the state that want a different government. They want health care. They want wealthy billionaires not to get all these breaks and things like that, and they want lower fuel and gas prices. And so my life has been dedicated to fighting for these things, and people, do know that. And I think the fact that, I did just come through this gubernatorial campaign with a lot less money than my opponents, but I still won Aroostook County, where Senator Collins is from. I won Bangor, I won Portland. So I'm the only candidate that's demonstrated that I can win statewide with conservative Republicans and urban young people that are much more liberal. So that's why I believe I'm the best one. But it is important to understand that it is about the issues that I'm running on. That's what I care about. That's what I want to see continue to happen, and that's why I'm jumping in this race.
And what do you think the nomination process should look like? Because we are talking about a tiny window to replace Graham Plattner.
Yeah, no, it's insane, and I've dealt with this, in the state senate races and things like that. We've never seen anything like this. This is completely, off charts. But what is important is that we have an open, fair, transparent process that everyone feels like they were heard and gets an opportunity to be heard. And that is what I'm going to fight for, because I don't believe, I want these issues to come forward. I want people to continue to feel like Democrats are fighting for them. And I don't want party insiders to pick candidates or anything like that. I totally disagree with that. So a statewide convention where everyone gets an opportunity, I think, is the best case for this very unusual situation.
Well, let me ask you, because you campaigned with Graham Plattner during your bid for governor, even as all of these other controversies surfaced, old Reddit posts downplaying sexual assault in the military, since covered up tattoo resembling a Nazi symbol, he denied knowing what it meant, as well as allegations from past girlfriends about physically aggressive behavior. He denied those. But why were none of those controversies a breaking point for you?
Mm-hmm. I think the old Reddit posts, I think even the tattoo, there were plausible things that, people can change and things like that. But look, when it came down to a credible allegation of somebody that was sexually assaulted, that was the end. That was the bright red line. And that's why, I came out. And that's why I along with Graham has to step down. The other things there was, it's just very clear to me that this is the end, because this is a credible allegation, and it should be treated that way.
Well, some people are going to look at the long list of red flags that Graham Plattner was dealing with, and if and when you do get into the race, what do you say to the folks who see your continued sustained support of Graham Plattner and they question your own judgment?
Again, this came down to, about the issues. And care for all, like health, home, child care. These are things that I've been fighting for a long time. And the fact that, there was a momentum, there was an energy that got captured in this U.S. Senate race for that is why almost all of us were in support of this, because many of us have been waiting for something forever. Our government does not work right. It's wealthy people that get all the working class people are getting the shaft every damn time. And so I don't feel bad, for supporting those causes, because that's who I am. I do feel bad that there was a woman that was sexually assaulted, and that's why I've quit supporting Graham. But I'm not going to quit fighting for everyday working class people.
Would you want and would you welcome Graham Plattner's support and endorsement, or do you worry that that could drag your candidacy down?
Yeah, I don't want it, and it's unfortunate, but I just don't want it.
Got a car accident? Don't call a lawyer. Use this free AI tool instead. That's how I walked away with $93,000 from it.
So the main Democratic Party accused Plattner of trying to meddle in this process. You probably heard some of the sound that we played a little bit earlier. The campaign says they just want to know what the process would look like. They say they're not meddling. Do you think that Graham Plattner should have say in who replaces him, or has he forfeited his right to do that?
No, I don't think he should have any say. It's the law. At this point, when you step down, just like any other state legislative race, there is a process. This is different, and I get it, but you don't get to choose your heir apparent. And I just feel like, Graham should step down because in the end, it's about defeating Susan Collins, who is not fighting for us, and he knows that. And that's why I think he's just going to step down and let the process play out.
If Plattner drops out, the party has 2 weeks, as you and I are discussing, just a tiny amount of time to replace him. Considering this shortened timeline, the vetting concerns with Plattner, can you assure voters there is nothing in your past that could come out after the 27th if you are picked?
Yeah, I got a 22-year record of running in elections. I just came through a statewide election. I know this is bigger, but there's nothing there. And I've, been vetted for 2 decades now. And I'm the only one that actually wins in an area that Trump has been winning, but still seen as someone that's very progressive. So that's why I know I can win this race. But there's nothing that is going to come out that people haven't already heard.
Do you think that this moment raises questions about progressives' ability to vet their candidates? Will this be a mark on the record of progressives?
No, I don't think this is a mark on progressives. I think this is a mark on an agency that didn't do the vetting. That people that wanted to make money off the campaign. But this is not a black mark on progressives. I think right now progressives are driving the conversation across this state and across this country that's been a long time coming because we are getting the shaft.
If you are not the pick, sir, will you support whoever is?
Yes, I will. Much like the gubernatorial race. I mean, I've been meeting with Hannah Pingree. She always was a friend. We ran against each other. I lost. What I want to do now is push the issues I care about, and Hannah's been great at this point. So it's going to be the same thing with this Senate race. I mean, I think in the end, as long as it is a very open, transparent process, whoever gets the nominee, I'll be happy with.
All right, former state senator Troy Jackson, we really appreciate your stopping by and for your perspective. We're going to watch this very closely. Hope to have you back.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Coming up after the break, mounting frustrations around the situation in Maine, everything that we've been discussing. Also, the mystery of Mitch McConnell's health.
Any comments, y'all?
Yeah, the Democratic Party is destroying itself, which is, I guess, not unusual for us.
What do you mean?
This bizarre, fringe, Nazi-ish, sometimes jihadist wing is attacking the moderate, normal, commonsensical center. In other words,
wait, I don't understand.
Like Plattner.
Jihadist.
Huh?
Well,
Mamdani is a jihadist. Plattner is a Nazi. It's insane to have these people in the party. As James Carville put it, and that guy's pretty wise and pretty highly respected, that's not our party. Israel can't exist. No, that's not our party. Nazis and jihadists, no. This is not our party. The Democratic Socialists
Your party?
are not our party. Yes, our party.
Wait,
you voted
our
for Trump.
party. Huh?
What is jihad?
That's right. Huh? What? Yes, Mamdani is a jihadist. And so are some of those other people that follow along
So
with
how,
him, like...
what makes him a
yeah.
jihadist? He said that? He claims to be a jihadist?
Well, no, his behavior says it.
Like
and
what?
his affiliations.
What
Well,
behavior?
the way his wife behaved after October 7th, the way he supports Hamas, the way he demonstrates in favor of the so-called state of Palestine, which doesn't really exist. These are jihadist behaviors. The fact that nobody speaks up against what Iran is doing.
So you said,
Yes.
let me just get it correct.
Yes.
You said what his wife did,
Yes.
and you said the people that he communicates with.
No, the people that he supported for office and his own behavior. He's a jihadist. You
Okay,
can
but
argue with it,
you
but
said all
you're
those
not
things.
gonna
I
win.
still didn't hear I didn't hear his behavior.
Okay, well, you're not listening. He supports
Okay, and that
Hamas.
might be true,
He
but I don't
supports
need you to
Hamas.
tell me that. Either you.
Yeah, he supports Hamas and he's anti-Israel. That's pure jihad. In fact, he made his whole career over being a jihadist. He's an open jihadist. I'm sorry?
He would not be mayor if he supported Hamas. He doesn't.
Unfortunately, he is.
Doesn't sympathize. Listen, he doesn't sympathize with Israel, right? I will say that.
Your distinction is incorrect.
No, he doesn't sympathize with Israel.
He's open about it.
But he's not. No, he doesn't sympathize
Talk
with
to him.
Israel.
Yeah, he does.
But he's not, no, he doesn't.
Yeah, he does. I'm
Questions
sorry.
Israel on the things they do too. And you
Anybody can criticize Israel. Half of Israel criticizes Israel. No, he doesn't want it to exist. Sir,
no, he never
he
said that.
doesn't want it to exist. Yes, he's very clear about that. No, he always has been.
When did he say that? Boy, you gotta stop making up stories.
He would not be mayor. He would not be mayor.
Yeah,
He would be, and he is.
Jihad doesn't have nothing to do with blowing yourself
It's
up.
odd, but it's true.
Or being a fucked up person, so stop it.
What are you saying now?
Jihad ain't got shit to do with that, so don't.
Jihad means violent overthrow of non-Muslims.
No,
That's
it
what
doesn't.
jihad means.
That is your definition of jihad.
No,
That's
that's
not what
me.
it means. No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Look it up.
No, it's not.
I thought we were talking about Graham Plattner.
Yeah, he's a Nazi. So I said Nazis and jihadists will
And how did he become a Nazi?
I beg your pardon?
How did he become a Nazi?
How? I haven't asked him what
I
his
don't know why
wonderful,
he's a Nazi.
wonderful journey to Nazism
the
is.
accusations have made him, accusations, if he's done what these women have said he's done, then he's a criminal. I don't think he's a Nazi.
Well, he has the tattoo. You think that was a
Yeah,
mistake?
but that tattoo isn't the Nazi tattoo. It is
Sure it is.
a resemblance of one.
It's a Teutoncroft. Yeah, of course it is.
It's not the exact tattoo, bro.
It's not the exact? Oh, no, it's close.
So,
I mean, it's a Nazi tattoo. The guy is a Nazi. Why and otherwise?
Calm down, bro.
So
Instead of solving the problem,
If you want to stay, you gotta chill back.
I'm chilling.
Get some ice.
Instead of denying the problem,
Go put
fix
some
it.
ice.
So I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna help you back to the topic.
Yeah,
So the reason
the topic
why
is that Nazis and jihadists are destroying the Democratic Party.
No. Literally was in the middle. So the reason why he is now out of the race are because of the two women who he dated who have said that he has done things that were inappropriate and assaulted them. So if we are going to talk about the clip, we should probably talk about how people stood beside him and now they don't want anything to do with him. The guy in the clips was campaigning with them, but now doesn't want his endorsement. That's crazy. Well, when it was beneficial for you, you was linked up buddy with him, rolling through the forest, going through the hills, like.
I think he's trying to lean into that just a little bit too hard, because you could have easily said, I welcome the support of all, right? But I do want to make sure my stance is that, I do not support, said behaviors or accusations, whatever. Like, there's a way to still separate yourself and still say, it seemed like an opportunist type shit. Right?
So, going back to the clip, what's the lady's name that does this Meet the Press? You always got time. What's her name? Anyway, she asked the dumbass question, do you think this will weigh heavy on the Democrats because they're not doing a good job at vetting? Hence why Moore said what he said, saying they aren't doing it and they're messing up the Democratic Party by making that statement, like as if they didn't do the background check. Do you really think they didn't do a background check? Is that what everybody believes? The women didn't start coming out until we started getting closer to the primaries. The stuff that did come up was the Nazi tattoo, and they found a way to say, whatever. They moved forward. But so far as the women, like, there were no records. Who was it? I don't know. But for her to just make that blanket statement is what happens, and people hear that, and then they can run on the narrative as such. With Norm saying that they're letting all these, socialist people in here, you got a Nazi, you got a jihadist in here, all these different things. So journalists need to be more careful what they say, what kind of questions they're asking. What exactly are you proposing by saying that? Do you know for sure that they didn't vet them out? No, we don't know. Just saying. First Lady, he actually ran against Janet Mills, who was probably the
she supported the Supreme Court Kavanaugh and his sexual allegation that she supported him. But there's a whole lot of other shit that's affiliated with things. But you know what? You should drop out. I would drop out. Especially when you're criticizing Trump and his actions.
Well, based on what y'all said, then they just didn't care.
I mean, American people don't care. You see, they voted for Trump, right? So why Democrats can't not care? Why they cannot care? Right. So because they hold themselves to a higher standard, we're supposed to care. But y'all don't care. Y'all don't care about somebody that his wife clearly said that she was raped by her husband. Hair was pulled, a plug of her hair was pulled out. There's allegations of him raping other women. Like,
फिर बोला ऐसा करो, तुम 1 महीने के लिए उन्हें हार्स राइडिंग करवाओ, खुदा के फजल से शायद दुबली हो जाए। 1 महीना बाद चंदूलाल जाते हुए दिखे तो नसरुद्दीन ने रोक कर पूछा, क्यों भाई चंदूलाल, कुछ हुआ? चंदूलाल बोले, हाँ मैं तो सूख कर आधी रह गई। नसरुद्दीन तो प्रसन्नतापूर्वक बोले कि देखो, मैंने कहा था ना। चंदूलाल बीच में ही बात कर काट करके बोले कि मियाँ, मैं तुम्हारी भाभी की नहीं, घोड़ी की बात कर रहा हूँ। बिल्कुल सूख कर आधी रह गई, भाभी तो जैसी थी उससे दुगनी हो गई। जब उल्टा हो जाएगा तो तुम चौंकोगे तो ही, हैरानी तो तुम्हें होगी। तुम क्या सोच कर आए और क्या हो गया, इसलिए पूछते हो मैं क्या करूं। अब मत पूछो, बुद्धि खो गई, अब ये कर्तापन भी जाने दो। इतना बड़ा विराट जिस ऊर्जा से चल रहा है, उसी ऊर्जा के अंग तुम हो, उसको ही चलाने दो, तुम्हें भी चलाने दो। अब कहो कि जो तेरी मर्जी, जो करवाए वह करो, खुद करता ना रहो। बांस की जैसे पोंगरी होती बोली, ऐसे हो जाओ। गीत गाए जो गाए, गुजर जाने दो गीत उसका। संन्यास का यही अर्थ है प्रेम चैतन्य, अपने को खो देना और परमात्मा के हाथों में इस तरह छोड़ देना कि जो करवाए उससे ही राजी, जो करवाए वही सुख, वही सुंदर। तुम चकित होगे, अपूर्व आनंद की वर्षा हो जाएगी, प्रसाद ही प्रसाद के फूल खिल जाएंगे, ऐसी सुगंध उठेगी, ऐसा संगीत जगेगा तुम्हारे भीतर कि तुम उसकी कल्पना भी नहीं कर सकते। यह बुद्धि अतीत मामला है, ये कर्ता के पार की बात है, ये तुम्हारे हाथ की बात नहीं। ये विराट के साथ अपने को एक कर लेने का राज है। लहर अपने को सागर से अलग समझे कि बस उपद्रव में पड़ी, और सागर से अपने को एक जाना कि सब उपद्रव शांत थोड़े समाप्त हो। अच्छा हुआ तुम्हारी बुद्धि खो गई, धीरे धीरे तुम भी गलोगे और खो जाओगे। यहां अगर बन ही गए, भाग न गए तो निश्चित खो जाओ, और तब जो शेष रह जाता वही परमात्मा। इसलिए तो पलटू ने कहा ना कि मैं पहले ही सचेत किए देता हूं। दीवार कर कहा, इस पे चढ़ के मत झांकना, मत कोई झांकन जाए, क्योंकि जिसने भी झांका वो खो गया। खोने की हिम्मत हो तो कोई झांके, मिटने की हिम्मत हो तो कोई झांके, मगर मिटने में कोई मिटता थोड़ी। वस्तुतः मिटने में ही पहली बात तुम होते हो। बूंद जब मिट जाती तो सागर हो जाती है। हो गई बुद्धि, अच्छा हुआ। यूं थी भी तो क्या कर ली, क्या कर लिया था बुद्धि से, क्या पा लिया था। दुखी देती थी, कांटे की तरह गढ़ती थी, चुभती थी। और भी कुछ बचे हो कांटे, जाने दो। अहंकार बचा है अभी भी, क्योंकि पूछ रहे हो अब मैं क्या करूं। अब ये मैं भी जाने दो, अब ये करता भी जाने दो। चल ही पड़े तो क्या रोकना, अब चल ही पड़े तो क्या पीछे लौट कर देखना है। पांचवा प्रश्न, भगवान उस फल दी मैनू सख्त जरूरत है जो कल आप सीता मैया और फली भाई को देने के लिए मां लक्ष्मी से कह रहे थे। सतगुरु साहब तुसी मैनू क्यों भूल गए। संत महाराज मुझे क्या पता, कि तुम भी अब वृद्धावस्था की अवस्था में आ गए। अच्छा का तुमने बता दिया। सीता मैया ने तो पत्र लिखा है, भगवान आपने कहा उसके पहले ही मैंने वो फल खा लिया है, और जब से वो फल खाया है बस ऊपर ऊपर से बूढ़ी दिखती हूँ, भीतर तो बच्ची जैसी हो गई। तो ये बात सच्ची, नाचती फुदकती रहती। सीता मैया को तुम देखोगे तो तुम मानोगे ये बात, नाचती फुदकती रहती। और फली भाई भी खा चुके, कहें कि ना कहें। ये राज की बातें हैं, कह देने जरूरी भी नहीं। सीता मैया नहीं रोक पाई, कह गई। स्त्रियों से कुछ बात छिपती नहीं, इसलिए कहते हैं जो बात पूरे गांव में फैलानी हो किसी एक स्त्री को बता दो बस, फिर तुम चिंता छोड़ो, 24 घंटे में पूरे गांव में अपने आप फैल जाएगी। अखबार में छपवाने की भी जरूरत नहीं, एक स्त्री को बता देना पर्याप्त है। हाँ, बताते वक्त इतना जरूर कह देना कि भाई किसी और को ना बताना, फिर तो निश्चित ही समझो गारंटीड है मामला। अखबार में कोई पढ़े ना पढ़े विज्ञापन, अब फली भाई भी खा लिए मगर चुप। पुरुष छिपा सकता है बातों को, चुप्पी साथ है, कुछ कह ही नहीं रहे, मुस्कुरा लेते हैं बैठे बैठे, ये सामने बैठे मुस्कुरा रहे। ये सीता मैया ने हमारा भी राज खोल दिया। संत महाराज तुम सीता मैया से मिलो, उसे पता है कि कौन सा फल खाना है।
That the Democrats needed to defeat her and to go on to represent Maine in the Senate. So that was the choice. It was a binary. That ultimately what happened. And, you know, Janet Mills dropped out. And now look what happened. Now they just have to pick somebody who is probably, you know, holds the similar issues as Plattner, but doesn't have the baggage. And it looks like it's probably going to be Troy Jackson, the guy who was interviewed.
And I think that Plattner dropping out today is good for the Democratic Party, and it makes it more likely. And in fact, if you go to Polymarket, which everyone in this room should, the fact that Plattner dropped out has led the betting markets to bet on Collins being more likely to be defeated. So if you're sitting in this room and your only priority is seeing Susan Collins defeated, you should be celebrating that Plattner dropped out.
I literally didn't even get a chance to hear what Scotty said. Like, Scotty, can you remember just the last thing you said? Oh my God.
About her age?
Yeah, I'm just trying to. I was just trying to.
About it being a binary, and I think it was mentioned on the chat. It was actually a good point Janet Mills didn't want to. I mean, she was asked to run. People were fine with her running, but it didn't have the enthusiasm behind it, and she didn't have the enthusiasm either. Like, she could retire and live a good life, but she thought she was doing right, by Maine to try to be the one to defeat Susan Collins. But it became a binary between new guard, old guard, DSA supported, man of the people, all this other stuff, and they put all of these things in a bag and said, hey, we're gonna, go for this guy. And then the rape allegations came out. So Troy Jackson, who was the one who was interviewed, is probably the right guy because he's been in Maine for quite some time. Actually, probably his whole life. And he has been in public office, I believe state senate. He just ran for governor. He came in third, but he got the most same-day votes. So it seems to be the right choice for them. So I'm actually happy that Plattner's out. Really care for him. But so Troy Jackson, maybe.
There you go.
Any other I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna just say, I think we can all agree there is no perfect candidate. But at the end of the day, you need to go and vote for whoever the Democrat is if you want to get rid of Susan Collins. And so I don't think she polls well among women. Not sure about men, but I agree with you that Jackson is probably going to be the best one to try to defeat her. But it still takes going to the polls. So at the end of the day, had it end up being Plattner, they needed to go vote for him, if they didn't want her. So, but I am glad that he's out of the race.
And can someone tell us about taking over the Senate? They need the Democrats need maybe 3 or 4 seats, and Maine is one of them. Is that correct?
They need 4.
Maine? They need 4. Okay.
Yeah, Maine is one of them, but also keeping the Michigan seat. That's the other bad answer.
Right, they don't have to have Maine. Maine is just more gettable. There are others, they don't have to have.
Okay.
I mean, the toss-up ones or the ones that are in play, they say are North Carolina, Ohio, Iowa, Texas, and
Georgia,
Maine, and Alaska. That depends on them holding Georgia and Michigan. So of those 6, I think I named 6. They need to hold the 2 and flip 4, because right now the Senate is 53-47. 52-47. Mitch McConnell was with the ancestors. I'm done speaking.
I thought it might be harder for Texas and Iowa. That it's going to be a harder target for it.
It is. I'm saying those are the ones that are flippable. They're not going to flip.
Right. But Ohio, I'm with you on.
Yeah, speaking of Texas, the race is pretty close here, but no one's talking about the sins of what's his face running against Talarico. So the dynamics are just really weird. How in one state, well, you guys know the Republicans are talking about how terrible the Democrats are for picking Plattner, and here in Texas, I don't know why I can't say his name, running against Talarico, running neck and neck with him, and he packs him. He's literally a criminal. I mean, he's a real criminal. So, Homer, what do you got to say about the Texas race? You know anything about that one?
You know, race?
Yeah. I think that they should have nominated Beto O'Rourke again. I think if Beto O'Rourke was the nominee, and I'm happy to hear criticism, if Beto O'Rourke was the nominee, he would be kicking that criminal piece of shit Paxton's ass. But because the voters of Texas chose Low T Tallarico, I think they're guaranteed to lose. So fuck them for not nominating Beto.
They didn't nominate Beto because he didn't run. What are you talking about?
I was actually asking about the Paxton. Are Republicans shit for, are they the same level of shit in Texas? I'm not talking about the Democrat. I'm not talking about the Democrat.
Okay, I'm answering you. Anyone of any party who voted for Paxton is a piece of shit because Paxton is a criminal. I'm fucking done speaking.
Is the Republican Party going to hell in Texas?
I think it's evil to nominate Paxton.
Is the Republican Party going to hell like the Democrat?
I hope everyone who voted for Paxton goes to hell immediately.
Okay.
This will get in the wash. I think the guy that they're going to run, if it's Jackson or whomever, I don't think Janet Mills is going to be the nominee. She could be, I have no idea. I don't think she wants to. I think she just figured I think she's 79. Isn't she like her late 70s?
Yeah, I think she's like 78 or something like that.
Yeah, 79. She's been the governor. I think she's done. That's the first piece. The second piece is there's no telling where these seats are going to go. I don't see Georgia flipping. I don't see Michigan flipping. But, we could look up. It could be 40, 51, 49. It could be 50, 50. 50, 50 is probably a good number. Could be 41, 49, 51 the other way. Republican could gain 2. Could be 55, 55, 45. It's just, I think the fact that it's in play speaks to the unpopularity and the dissatisfaction of the voters. Because this is supposed to be a map that the Democrats should not have had a chance to flip. I don't know what's going to go on in Texas. I'll be honest with you. I think the Hispanic voters are really flocking to Tallarico. And I think we do not have, let me speak for myself. I do not have a handle on the Latino vote. I don't speak Spanish of the Romance languages, major Romance languages. It is my least. That's the one I'm least good at. So I don't know anything about Spanish. I didn't see the Latino men voting for Trump. To be fair to me, no one did. Anybody pretend like they did is lying because nobody talked about that before the election. So I don't know what's going to happen. I just know that Tallarico got more votes in a primary than the Republicans did. I know that more Democrats voted in the primary than Republicans did. I don't think that's happened in Texas in decades. I don't know what any of that means. I know that the immigration reckoning is coming, and it's going to start in 2026. We saw it in 2025 a little bit when all those counties that had swung to the right towards Trump in 24 swung crazy back because they didn't like the way that they were picking up. We don't listen to Meet El Preso. We don't, guys, Cristiano Walker, coming straight, de Masondo. We don't know. We have no idea here, at least. So, I don't know. So I think that could go anywhere. I think the one race out in here that we don't talk about here because, well, we talk about a little bit to be fair. I think Iowa could be a flip. Iowa was not supposed to be in play because no one thought Jody Ernst was retiring. The Democrats nominated somebody who's really well liked across the state, and he's been leading in every poll, including outside the margins. I think in the most recent one, he's up 4 points. And the governor's up even more. Iowa experimented with MAGA, with Trump, and they might be done with go back to Democrat. You remember, I think Obama won Iowa twice. I don't think anybody knows. I'm done speaking.
Yeah, to that point, Iowa is, I mean, I guess maybe used to be purple. I mean, they had Tom Harkin. They definitely elected Democrats. So it wouldn't be surprising to me if they went back.
They got hit really hard with the tariffs. I don't know if you remember. The tariffs were really, really bad in Iowa. A lot of people live in urban enclaves, or you work in a field, healthcare, or education, or business, or whatever. You don't see it, and so maybe we don't see these people. But there are states whose economies, swing voters depend on stuff that only affect us insofar as broccoli goes up, 30 cents a head, 0.4 cents a floret or whatever, and we don't see it. But a 4-point swing in one direction or the other, you get a Democrat in the Senate. They've elected Democrats in the Senate in our lifetime. Like you said, Harkin was there for a long time. Obama definitely won it in 2008, maybe won it in 2012. I don't know. I'm just giving my opinion. I'm not standing in the gap for anybody. I'm not doing politics. I'm only giving my opinion. I'm not defending the Democratic Party. I'm not an expert. I'm only giving my opinion. I'm done speaking.
All right. Hi, you there? Hi, are you there? I don't think she's there.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm trying to clean dishes and I had to dry my hands.
Thought you was cooking.
Yeah, I'm cooking too. All right, let me go ahead and play the rest of Meet the Press. Hold on. All right.
And the turmoil in the Middle East, the panel is here to break it all down next. You're watching Meet the Press now. Welcome back. Joining me now is our panel, Sahel Kapoor, NBC News national political reporter, Ashley Etienne, Meet the Press contributor and former communications director for Vice President Kamala Harris, and former Republican Congressman from Louisiana, Garrett Graves. Thank you so much to all of you. Welcome to you, Congressman. We appreciate your being here. Sahel, I want to start with you to just set the table here. I thought it was very notable that when I asked Troy Jackson if he wanted the endorsement of Graham Plattner, he said no. I mean, he is putting about as much distance as he possibly can between him and Graham Plattner in this moment as he waits to see if and when he's going to drop out.
Yeah, that's right. He's walking a fine line here. On one hand, he said there are certain issues he ran on.
Yeah.
He believes he could be, a more effective candidate to carry the mantle for. Everyone recognizes in the Democratic Party in Maine that Graham Plattner got more than 150,000 votes in the primary, which is huge. I think that's a record for any Democrat there. So you can't discount the voters. This is the box that the Maine Democratic Party and every potential candidate is in. They have to disown him and the baggage of the horrible things that he's been accused of, which he denies, but credibly accused of. At the same time, they can't alienate his voters. They need the support of his voters who were not there for Graham Plattner's personal character. Nobody saw him as a font of character. They were supporting him because they saw him as effective in carrying on the issues. So that's what Troy Jackson is doing. There are going to be others who run this differently. Some candidates are more on the center-left side, a little bit more aligned with the National Party establishment. Some are more on the progressive side. But everyone has to distance themselves from him somewhat, but not too much.
Yeah,
but not too much. He's a rapist.
Text.
We don't have to distance ourselves too much.
The DC-based Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee to send staffers to plan a potential nominating process behind closed doors. Their argument is they want to be a part of the process. Where Plattner would like to say he clearly wants a progressive to replace him. think
He wants the progressive. The guy has no say. He's a fucking Nazi rapist.
I would argue that they actually don't. I mean, it's their fault. They got us into this dilemma here. They knew full well what they were dealing with. Graham Plattner. They did not fully vet. His wife submitted some text messages of explicit communication from him and other women, which she said was going to be a vulnerability for him. That was over a year ago. Then you had one woman come out, and so they stood by this guy. So it's really the campaign that's to blame for this, not National Democrats. They didn't know what they didn't know. And so I don't think that they actually have leverage. But just to add to what Sahil said, you know, the challenge for the local Maine Democrats now, they're going to have to move quickly to seize this spot. Secondly, they're going to have to select a candidate who can raise money and also unite progressives. That's going to be a hard road to hoe. And to your point earlier, during our off session, they're going to have to pick someone who can really beat Susan Collins, which is hard. So who can also appeal to not just progressives, but also to independents.
Congressman Graves actually takes me to my question to you, which is take us inside the Collins campaign. Who would you rather run against, a progressive or a moderate? Who do you think she's more concerned about at this point?
I think she'd rather have a progressive candidate on the ballot. I do. I think that Susan Collins has proven her worth. She has been an incredible campaigner, has delivered huge wins for Maine, and is one of the leaders in the Appropriations Committee. I think that she would be much better off having somebody who is a more liberal candidate, which brings me to the next point. How in the world do we get ourselves in a situation where you so have empowered political parties to deliver candidates that appear as fatally flawed as this guy is? Really, I think we need to take a step back, take a fresh look at this, and figure out how to make sure that we get better vetting and better candidates on the ballot. This is the board of directors for America.
What also is true about voters, and this goes back to Trump running in this last election as a populist, which is voters seem to me to be putting their pocketbooks ahead of and overlooking all these indiscretions from Trump to Plattner. And I think that is an interesting fact that we have to give credit to and really find a candidate that can speak to this.
You and I were doing the show, and it's amazing seeing the change in elections over the last so many, where you have voters calling for folks that are going to be disruptors and wanting to see that big change, that big disruption. And I think that
on economic issues,
but I think across the board, realizing the status quo of government is not satisfactory, they're not okay with it, and wanting to see that disruptive change. And I think, as you said, putting pocket of many other things is definitely a trend.
It's such an important point, Sahil, because you are seeing, when you see those rallies that Graham Plattner was able to get all of those people, as you say, his vote total was significant. The fact that he had these huge endorsements, I mean, can the party even find someone who energizes voters in Maine in that same way? That's the big question for Democrats right now.
It's going to be very difficult. I think we've seen in this primary and over the last several years that voters have a higher tolerance threshold than usual. I'd say for controversy, of course, they have their limits and they have their red lines. And Graham Plattner seems to have crossed the Democrats' red line on this one. I do want to add some reporting on the National Party.
Yeah,
I spoke to two sources on the ground in Maine who say there are Democratic Senatorial Committee staffers on the ground in Maine. That part is true. I reached out to the DSCC about this because there are some allegations flying around that they're in there to take control of the process and kind of usurp it away from the Maine Democrats. The DSCC flatly denies this. They say it's false. They say they're continuing to defer to the Maine Democratic Party for the entirety of the process. What they do have, however, is resources, and it's not untoward for local parties to take advantage of those
Absolutely.
resources.
And that's what I heard from the DSCC too. They were like, it's only in our interest to let the party select and for us not to have a heavy hand and put our hand on the scale.
Very quickly, though, do you think this weakens the progressive brand at this critical moment, or in any way overshadows it?
I don't think it does. I mean, if you want to call it, the Progressive Party has had such sweeping wins over the last year and a half. So I would say it actually, I mean, I think this primarily the responsibility falls on this particular campaign and this candidate, and it doesn't reflect on the larger progressive movement.
Congressman Graves, let's talk about Mitch McConnell. We know that he has been dealing with some health issues. There are all sorts of speculation online. You have top Republican senators, John Thune, John Barrasso, saying they've spoken to him. Do you think this is a moment where The McConnell team needs to come out and provide more information and more transparency, quite frankly, about what's happening.
Look, you can go back and look. You have had both Republicans and Democrats over the last several years that have disappeared. And I could go through and name names. I'm not going to right now. But both parties have seen it. Do I think that voters deserve transparency? Yeah, absolutely they do. I think they do. And I think I've seen situations where elected officials have not handled it well. And I've seen situations where they have, where folks have literally worked through cancer treatments and other really intense activities and been able to deliver for their constituents. I think they deserve transparency. I think the leadership deserves transparency. And I think that there needs to be somewhat of a shot clock. But the main thing is, this is up to the voters in Kentucky.
Well, the Democratic Governor, Andy Beshear, writing this letter, as public office holders, we have made a commitment to our constituents to do our best to represent them and always be transparent. I believe this requires clear communication about one's ability to serve. He has the ability, if necessary at any point, to replace Senator McConnell should he step down or otherwise. Talk about this moment in this letter from Andy Beshear.
Should he step down is the key to that. Because right now the governor is sending this letter. We reached out to Senator McConnell's office. They're not engaging on this letter. Mitch McConnell has no political pressure to deal with anymore. The only folks who matter here in terms of his constituency is the Senate GOP conference. And it seems like John Thune and John Barrasso say they spoke to him. Fascinating how everyone seems to have a 20-minute call with him. Nothing more, nothing less these days. But look, the Senate is back next week. They're here for 2 weeks. And then they're gone for a month. Are we going to see Mitch McConnell for those 2 weeks? They've given no timeline for his return. They've not even said the reason he was hospitalized, even though we have police scanner audio that an unconscious individual had cardiac arrest at McConnell's home. They're revealing as little as they can get away with.
Ashley, what do you make of this moment? We should know you are a long-time staffer on Capitol Hill. You worked with Nancy Pelosi, so you're no stranger to moments that are challenging. What do you make of how the McConnell team has dealt with this?
I mean, I think they're representing their boss and doing whatever their boss will want. But I had breakfast with Andy Beshear a few months ago, and he's interested in running, obviously, in 2028. So this is a big opportunity for him. He's got an opportunity to potentially put a Democrat in that seat, but he's also got an opportunity to position himself as someone sort of who's beyond politics, who's fighting for the interest of Kentuckians, but also he can cement himself with the larger Democratic apparatus as someone who's going to fight Republicans and hold them to account. So I think it's going to be an incredible opportunity for him. So that's why I'm watching it this whole time. I think we know what's going to happen where we're going.
The conversation to one final very brief note.
If Beshear was out there beating up on some Democrats in the past who did the exact same thing, I think he would have to rebel in this case. Republicans going to see through this political opportunist move, and I don't think there's any credibility to it.
All right, guys, well, great conversation. Thank you, Ashley, Congressman Graves, and of course, Sahel. Really appreciate it. Coming up after the break, the Department of Justice threatens election officials in all 50 states with criminal charges ahead of the midterms. We'll explain. Watch it. Any comment on that?
I didn't put a Democrat in the chair. I didn't hear what they were saying. You put a Democrat in this. Yeah, it's a fact check. I mean, they quite famously, Kentucky quite famously changed the law so that the governor cannot appoint the replacement. I'm putting dishes up from the dishwasher. I know this. At home in sweatpants from Target. These people who on TV with $2,000 next year, no one what's going on.
Right, but he has until August 5th, I think I heard, to come out and say something, right? I think the date is August 5th.
Who's he?
McConnell is dead. But that was the date they gave, because you're right. He can't. They fixed this so that he can't. The governor can't just appoint someone. But something has to happen by August 5th.
Oh yeah. Otherwise, that seat just remains vacant until, because there's an election
you gotta appoint a candidate who can raise money. I can get a couple cash apps.